One of my previous clients had wanted to do the profit first method. And so when she opened her business, she started off with Wells Fargo and opened 5 accounts with Wells Fargo, but then it wasn't communicated to her, or she didn't think it was going to be an issue, but there was minimum balances for those accounts. And then if you don't meet the minimum balance, then there's a monthly fee for each account. And I was
Mhm.
like, you're spending so much money right now just to have the 5 accounts. It's almost
Yeah.
pointless.
Yeah. And usually it's different for a brand new business. Well, it's not different. You don't usually have that money when you're starting with a brand new
Right.
business either, right? But if you're an existing business and you're like, I am struggling with my cash flow, I need help. The last thing you're going to be able to do is hold a minimum balance in
Yeah.
all 5 accounts, right? That's the reason you're looking towards something like profit first. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just get it and we were able to make it work, which is, not something everybody can say.
Hey, and welcome to the Ambitious Bookkeeper podcast. I'm Serena Shoup. I am a CPA and mom of 3, and I'm running a virtual bookkeeping business mostly from my home. You're in the right place if you're a bookkeeper, accountant, or an accounting student, and you know that your purpose is bigger than sitting in a cubicle. If you're ready to learn some actionable tips and strategies to help you start and grow a bookkeeping or accounting business, I hope you stick around. Welcome back to the Ambitious Bookkeeper podcast. Today I have someone from Relay Bank, which if you've listened to the podcast for any amount of time, you've probably already heard me talk about Relay. But I have Deanna. She's my rep, and she also is the person who is doing the podcast interviews. So I'm not even going to attempt to say your last name. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, I'll say it. How about that? Hey everyone, my name is Deanna Zubrickas and I'm a product specialist here at Relay. I'm also a certified profit first professional and I'm super excited to be here. And yes, now I guess I can also be introduced as the person who does the podcast. So I love that.
Yeah. Is there like an official title are you like media outreach or something?
There isn't, but I feel like at this point I should probably ask for one. Add that
Yeah.
to my resume, right?
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. I know recently Relay put on a like secret little webinar for some of us who are in the partner program already. And we wanted to chat about that because it's being unveiled to the public soon, right? As of recording of this, not yet, but by the time it airs, it will be public. So before we get into that though, I do want to just kind of dig into your background and how you came to Relay and all that good stuff. So I'll let you take the
Yeah.
floor.
I would say I probably have a little untraditional background for most people that you find in the accounting bookkeeping space or even in the fintech space. And I've been working at Relay almost 3 years. When this podcast comes out, it'll be a month away from that anniversary. And before that, it was actually in retail management for about 7 years. I kind of fell into that after graduating from school and worked my way up. I'm in Toronto in Canada, and it's a really big retail market here. I think one of the biggest malls in Canada. So lots of room to grow in there. And then the pandemic hit and retail was just not the space to keep growing in. And it was very, very different. The landscape had changed. So I thought, what else can I do with my skills that I've got here? I thought, why don't I move my B2C selling skills to B2B? Ended up getting connected with Relay. And keep in mind, this is 3 years ago. So Relay looked very different back then. Serena, you were probably on Relay before I even started there because you've been an OG for a long
Yeah.
time. And it was my first foray working with small businesses, but it was really the early team here and the leadership team, meeting Yusuf and everything that got me interested into Relay. I'm like, hey, if this team can do it, like I want to be a part of this team and see what they're growing. And 3 years later, if I had known that I was going to be working with in the accounting and bookkeeping channel, I probably never would have believed you. But I absolutely love it. I think it's an amazing community to be a part of, and I'm happy you guys let me hang out.
Yeah. And some of us are kind of fun, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, I would say I would even push it and say a lot of you are kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been to ZeroCon yet?
Oh yeah, I
Oh
went
yeah.
last year in New Orleans and
Okay.
I loved it. I'm like, please take me back to Nashville this year.
I know. I'm so excited it's in Nashville. And just as a little side note, what are some of your things that you like to do outside of work?
Outside of the accounting and bookkeeping
Yeah.
industry and fintech banking, I love to read. I'm a huge, huge reader. I actually read 38 books last year, so I've started on
Wow.
my new goal already. Yeah, I'm a big reader. I love yoga. I love to work out. I love to walk, and big into reality TV as well. You name a Real Housewife franchise, I watch it. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm super excited to have you on here. So let's jump into the new Relay Partner Program because they've had a partner program for a while, which, like you said, I'm an OG.
Yeah.
When you guys did that webinar, one of the questions was like, how did you first hear about Relay? And I'm like, I don't even remember. I think Yosef actually reached out to me individually on LinkedIn and we connected. He was like, can I demo my product? And I'm like, sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I love when people reference that, like, Yusuf did my demo, and I'm like, okay, so you've been around. You've been around. He was the original salesperson. So that's awesome. And you've obviously stuck with us the whole time. So you must
Yeah.
like what we're doing.
I do. And I'm constantly sharing about it. I would be sharing about it without a referral code. That's
Yeah.
how passionate I am about it. Like I try to get all of my clients switched over to Relay. I mean, I'm not like super pushy about it. This is a question we can definitely dive into, but eventually people end up switching.
They do, right?
Yeah.
Whether they plan to or not. Because
Yeah.
that's the thing is business owners will always have a challenge with their bank, whether it's cost related, whether it's tech related or access related. One of those three, if not all three, will come at you at some point.
Mhm.
And as an advisor, like you should have a bank referral, right? You know
Yeah.
about all the banks out there, you know, all the trouble they cause. So you should have one that you can kind of guide your clients in the right direction, right?
Yeah. And that's one of the things that a lot of my students and like listeners ask about. And I just recorded a mini episode which drops before this airs, so it should already be published. But that was one of the questions was how do you handle when a potential client comes to you and they're on a bank that doesn't integrate with QuickBooks or Zero? Do you turn them away? And I'm like, no, I don't. I give them a solution. And so Relay has a new partner program that if you want to like dive into the details of, generally what that means in case people
Mhm.
are like, what is also maybe kind of talk about what Relay is for anyone who's new listening. Like
Yeah,
it's a banking platform. It's not technically the bank, right? But I'll let you
you
take it
got
from
it.
here.
Yeah, exactly. So we're a little bit different than the other banks that you'll see out there. We're a banking platform, and that basically means we're a tech company built on top of a partner bank. So we still got all the FDIC insurance you need, actually up to 2.5 million. So that's a lot. We've
Mhm.
got all the banking capability, and that's, directly through our banking partner. But I like to say we were truly like a banking platform designed through the lens of an accountant or bookkeeper. And I'm sure, Serena, you'd agree with that. And it's really just nice to be able to have buttons where you think they should be to create features that customers actually want and be able to push them out. So your customers actually know that, their feedback's being heard. So we're a banking platform that allows each business up to 20 checking accounts. There's no account fees, no minimum balances. You can automate your payments. You can pay for free. We connect directly to your QBO and your Zero, a direct bank feed, which I know to every listener on this podcast means a great deal. You connect
Mhm.
that bank feed once, you never have to reconnect it again. So it's really, really tech forward banking, I'd like to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for anyone too who doesn't know the background of Relay, it was developed by Yusuf, who used to work for HubDoc, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so he was already in the accounting tech, fintech world and understood the pain points. And so it also has the capability of automatically sending bank statements to HubDoc. Do you guys have an integration with Dext or anything either, too?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
The statements can flow through to there as well.
Awesome. So those two things, the direct feed, the direct statement access are huge. And then also just being able to see all of your clients at once, log in, provision access to your team as well. So your team doesn't have the same access that you do with your client's bank, but everybody has the ability to pull statements, research transactions, and it makes a huge difference
It
in
does. And I
workflow.
think that's kind of why we're so special in this community is that we truly started as an advisor platform, right? And
Mhm.
that's also what we want to show with our new partner program is we've been aware of all of these issues that you face and as an advisor for so long. So I feel like the community really feels seen when you look at something like Relay, like they actually get what we're trying to do or what we're trying to avoid, I guess,
Yeah.
and make your lives easier as a firm. And so that's really why we wanted to revamp the partner program because we wanted to show that we are committed to this community. Like we want to make it more meaningful and give you a little love back when you are bringing clients onto Relay. Because that's the goal, right? I think every firm owner that uses Relay, it's like, oh, I wish all my clients were on here. So I can talk a little bit about like what's going to be changing with the partner program and what's not. So what's not changing, it's still business banking that is built for you and your clients. So that's still existing, which is great. And you still get your dedicated support. So just like you and I, Serena, like any white glove onboarding you need, any account management support, we're still here for you. But what's going to be new about this partner program is we're going to include predictable, transparent, and meaningful partner rewards. So we're actually going to pay you a flat fee every time you onboard a new client. Every time that client gets to a new balance, like a 10K balance in Relay, we'll give you even more cold hard cash, which is awesome. And you get to share in the revenue share as well. So that was something that we've always had at Relay, and we're keeping it for certain tiers. And we'll also be unveiling an advisor directory, which I'm personally very, very excited about. So this will be launching later on. But the idea here is, as a business banking platform, we get tons of small businesses every day. Which accountant do you suggest? I'm looking for a bookkeeper. Do you know a bookkeeper that lives in California? All of these specific searches, and you'll be able to apply to be listed on our directory as a firm, and people can search by niche, they can search by location, by accounting software. So exactly what they're looking for. It's just another source for you to get clients. And we want to make sure that we have that relationship with you. And lastly, we're also going to be rolling out an ambassador program. So we get super excited advisors just like you, Serena, who have a community with them, and you want to talk about Relay. And it's easy to talk about Relay, especially when you use it and you love it. So there's going to be an opportunity for you to apply to be an ambassador. We can sponsor where you're going to talk, help you out with that kind of thing, and just help you spread Relay, which is really fantastic.
That's awesome. Are you guys, because I know there's like, if you're a zero partner, they've already developed some educational material for you to go out and kind of do presentations and things like that. Are you guys going to be working that kind of stuff in? I'm like, here we are, right on the spot, on air.
I
All the
hope you have an
questions.
answer. Yeah, no, we'll definitely have a package that we
Yeah.
can hand out to ambassadors once they've been approved, just so you're not going in there completely blind, right? I mean, obviously you'll have your love for Relay propelling you through your talk, but it's nice to have some ammo. So you'll definitely
Yeah.
have something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I get a lot of bookkeepers who ask me, like, when you go on podcasts, like, what do you talk about, client facing, or when you present to small businesses, like, what are you supposed to talk about? And Relay is already incorporated in my presentation, in my talks that I always do over and over again, because, like, it's such an easy thing to plug because there's certain things I talk about, like having your business and personal separate. And if you don't have a solution for that yet, you can do that with Relay, and it's free and it's easy to access and da 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 da. And then, like, if they're doing profit first, which a lot of entrepreneurs already are,
Yeah.
it has that capability of automating those transfers. And so it just makes it really easy to talk about it and tie it in to give them like a real solution during the talk.
Well, and that too, like if you're going to give business advice or anything around that topic, your bank is your central nervous system of your business. You like it should be a topic of discussion, right? And it's involved in absolutely everything. And if you're feeling friction there, you're going to feel friction in other areas of your business. So yeah, it's actually hard not to talk about it. I think it's like
It
quite the
is.
opposite, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, as I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh, weird. Like, I already have been talking about it. And just because, like, it solves so many issues for the clients I already have. And so, my goal is to get as many people on Relay before they even get an accountant, because it's just
Yes.
going to solve already a lot of issues. But yeah, so, and then when they come to me, it'll just be easy.
Yeah. And I think too, a lot of people might not even notice that they're talking about their bank, or if they're talking about it, it's usually in a negative way, right? Everybody can complain about their bank or whatever institution they're using. And with Relay, I've had quite the opposite reaction to a lot of people. We'll sit down and do a demo, and the reaction is like, well, I didn't know that this was an option. I didn't know I had a problem with my current bank until I saw the other options out there. So it's definitely a reverse experience, but a really, really good one.
Yeah. There's always like a couple types of businesses that may not be a great fit for Relay, which for my client base, that's not an issue because I don't really work with local clients and they're already doing everything online anyways. But what are some of the types of businesses that you still see friction with Relay and like getting them converted?
Well, an easy answer here is like any of the prohibited industries. So if you're in cannabis, if you're in crypto, if you're in firearms, that would be a no-go for Relay right now. Or if you are a business that heavily deals in cash, doesn't mean you can't use Relay, it just means you have to utilize a local bank option as well.
Yeah.
So if you're cash heavy, other than that, pretty much everybody can use Relay. It's just if you have additional resources that we don't offer yet, like maybe you're looking for a credit card, or you're looking for a loan, you might want to keep a local bank relationship just to kind of supplement. But it's very easy to still use Relay as a primary bank and use that local bank as a secondary bank for all of those what ifs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we covered that so that our listeners can like be armed with that information too.
Yeah.
Yeah, cash heavy for sure. What about physical checks? Is there a limit? This just popped into my head because I do have one client that they sometimes get pretty big physical checks in the mail that need to be deposited, and we've like historically walked them down to the bank.
Yeah. And you cannot walk them to Relay. That is impossible.
Yeah.
So what's the solve here, right?
Yeah.
So I've got kind of like a two-part answer for you. So we recently introduced an option for you to increase your own or request to increase your own transaction limits on Relay. So every business's limits are going to be different just based on your business and different information we can verify about it. And if you want to deposit something larger than the limit you have, you can supply some documentation and request either a temporary or a permanent increase, which is really great because we're allowing some business owners more flexibility.
Yeah.
But if you have a much larger check than we're able to help you with, same option is maybe you have a local branch account open and you can physically walk to it and deposit it there. But Relay does connect to 100% of US banks, whether it's business or personal, assuming, most people listening have at least one of those. Deposit there, transfer it into Relay for free. So you can still get it into Relay, even if you can't do it immediately.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, there's always a workaround.
There always is. You just got to ask. Sometimes you haven't thought about it yet. So that's
Yeah,
what our team
and
is
just asking the
creative
question,
workaround.
like requesting the increase on the limit. I like that. Is there a standard limit that everybody starts out with, and then over time you have to request to increase the limit based on your specific business, or does it adjust automatically based on your history?
Every business starts out at a different defaults and nothing would ever update automatically. You always have to request. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just throwing out
Hey,
the
they're good
questions that are
questions.
coming to me because I mean, like, for instance, my American Express, I just received a notification on my business American Express that my pay over time balance has increased just automatically based on history, right? So I'm like,
Right.
oh, I wonder.
Yeah, no,
A
it's a
little
good question.
different,
And hey,
but
you're a business owner, Serena. You like these are the questions business owners ask. So
yeah.
fire them away.
Yeah. And so for the listener too, when your clients have these questions, you can answer them. So I want to jump over to Profit First. We mentioned that a moment ago. And then you also said that you are a Profit First professional. Can
Mhm.
you talk about how Profit First became a thing with Relay? Because Relay wasn't the original like partner bank with them. And I remember pushing for that because I was a Profit First professional for a while too. And I
Oh,
was like, I'm
really?
already using
Nice.
Relay for all of this. Like, it's so much easier. I'm not going to make my clients switch banks.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to just hear the history of like how that relationship developed and then like what, I don't know, just the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it's
Yeah.
actually funny that you mentioned the previous one because Ron and Mike, and for anyone listening that doesn't know, Mike is the author of Profit First, and Mike and Ron both started Profit First Professionals together, where you can go get certified for Profit First. They always like to say, we had to kiss a lot of frogs before we found the right one being Relay, of course. And I think that's such a true phase. And honestly, I remember first hearing about Profit First from people looking at Relay. Like we would demo the product and they would be, wow, what do you mean you could have 20 checking accounts? Like, have you ever heard about Profit First? Because if you haven't, like you need to get in contact with them. And it actually came like from our community, just from the basic function that we already have in Relay. From day one of opening a Relay, we've always been able to have 20 accounts. So
Yeah.
it came from that direction. And then it was like, okay, we can't deny it anymore. Like, I think we need to work together. And it took a long time to finally get, everything working together. But last April, we finally officially launched our partnership. So Relay is the official banking partner of Profit First Professionals, which is awesome.
Mhm.
And now we have, more and more businesses every day coming to Relay specifically for that functionality. Because if anyone listening has tried to run Profit First or has thought about it or even read the book, you'll know that the very first roadblock that you run into is actually opening those 5 accounts. You
Mm-hmm.
go down to your local bank and they're going to look at you like you're nuts if you're asking for 5 accounts. And
Mm-hmm.
so that stops a lot of people right in their tracks, which is unfortunate because you're getting ready to take this step for you, for your business, right? You're saying, hey, I'm ready. I'm going to go take control. And then the bank stops you. So removing that roadblock is really important for getting business owners to start that method, and being able to do it for free is another really, really great option. Because if you do have a bank that lets you do it, those monthly fees are the now times 5, right? If you've
Yeah.
got all 5 of your accounts open.
Yeah. I had that. One of my previous clients had wanted to do the profit first method. And so when she opened her business, she started off with Wells Fargo and opened 5 accounts with Wells Fargo, but then either it wasn't communicated to her or she didn't think it was going to be an issue, but there was minimum balances for those accounts. And then if you don't meet the minimum balance, then there's a monthly fee for each account. And I was
Mhm.
like, you're spending so much money right now just to have the 5 accounts. It's almost
Yeah.
pointless.
Yeah. And usually it's different for a brand new business. Well, it's not different. You don't usually have that money when you're starting with a brand new
Right.
business either, right? But if you're an existing business and you're like, I am struggling with my cash flow, I need help. The last thing you're going to be able to do is hold a minimum balance in
Yeah.
all 5 accounts, right? That's the reason you're looking towards something like profit first. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just get it and we were able to make it work, which is, not something everybody can say.
Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing about the partner program. And if somebody is new to starting their bookkeeping business, what are some of the hoops that they need to jump through in order to become a partner? Because I know that, like, if you're looking at being a zero partner, you definitely have to talk to somebody. Is it the same with Relay? Because it's been so long since I became a partner. Like, what's the process now? I feel like I've been grandfathered in.
You really have. But it's actually pretty easy. So you can sign up directly on the Relay website for your own account and for your own partner portal dashboard. And if you have a dashboard, that means that you're a Relay partner. But you should always go one step further and meet with somebody from our team just so we can show you exactly how to use it. I've spoken to people that used Relay for a year and still didn't know about certain features that we have. So it's always great just to be able to unlock all of your features, but we can also help you with your onboarding too. Like, what is better than having somebody who's there to sell Relay for you or help influence people in the right direction? So we can also help with that. So sign up for your account and meet with a rep. But we also have a banking certification that you can go through on Relay. So similar to the other platforms out there, this one is free to do. It'll take you just over an hour. You watch a series of videos, and it basically is just testing your knowledge on how to use Relay. And if you can get through that, you could talk to anybody about Relay. It sets you up for success for sure. But really, to become a Relay partner, all you have to do is sign up. And I believe we're going to put a link in the show notes so everybody
Yep.
can use that. Yeah.
Yes, we will do that. And as far as becoming a Relay partner, is part of the qualification at least having one account with Relay on your own, or is that not required?
You do have to have a Relay account because how else would you receive your partner
Exactly.
rewards, right? How do you get that money?
Just trying to cover all the bases because
Yes.
sometimes people are like, well, I want to do it, but I'm not gonna like use it for myself. And I just feel like you said, if you're using it, it will be easy to talk about it. And I say the same thing about learning Zero or QuickBooks, like whichever software you're planning on helping with clients, like put your own books on there, tinker with it, practice, poke holes in it.
Yeah, 100%, because you guys know more than anybody. As soon as you refer something, you by default are the advocate for that product, that platform, that software, right? Whether it's good or bad. So you definitely should test it out and see. And I think testing it out with your own business is a little bit different, right? Of course, we're all, advisors here, but you can ignore your own books to a certain extent. But as soon as you get one client on there, that forces you to understand the functionality because right away you have to become the expert in it. So yeah, get yourself on there, of course, but also I like to call them a guinea pig client
Mhm.
because that you're going to fast track your learning right there.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other words of wisdom? I know you're not technically an accountant by trade,
Technically or at all.
but I like to ask, how about this? Since you're not, I like to ask people that come on the podcast either A, words of wisdom or encouragement for anyone who is starting their business right now, because our listeners are bookkeepers and accountants. A lot of people come from corporate and want to start their own thing, and they find my podcast and then I get them hooked.
Naturally.
But do you have any words of wisdom for that person, or from a client perspective of things that you've seen clients struggle with that would be really big value adds as a bookkeeper? So like, if you potentially know of any stories in your mind where you've seen some bookkeeper or someone solve a problem for a client that you're like, if every bookkeeper did this, this would be a game changer. Obviously, put them on the relay, but anything else?
Duh.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the first answer to your question, like any advice that I've seen, and because I've been talking to accountants and bookkeepers for almost 3 years now, the ones that stand out in my mind, whether they've just started their business or they've been doing this for 20 years, are the ones that are unafraid to be themselves. Like if you put yourself out there and you are you to your core and you're confident about that, that's what's going to set you apart from all of the other firms that are out there, because there's some competition out there, right? And you have to set yourself apart. But as long as you're being yourself, like that's the number one thing that I found that I remember personally. And I meet people in person at conferences, but most of our work these days is on Zoom, right? And if you can be yourself on Zoom and get that across, that's a big deal. And prospective clients are going to see that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I was not expecting that. Thank you.
Well, you asked a non-accountant, so that's what we're getting.
I'd always like to get the perspective of someone who isn't an accountant, because sometimes we get so close to our own stuff that we don't see the value in some of the stuff that we're providing. So when we have someone come on the podcast that isn't an accountant, they can illuminate that for our listeners and be like, actually, what this is that you're already doing is highly valuable, and you're just under like recognizing yourself for it.
100%. Yeah. And when I started in this industry, like, again, I never thought I'd be working with accountants and bookkeepers. And I thought that was going to be a really big challenge, is to get to know your quirks and your challenges and what you deal with on a daily basis. But we're all just people. We're all just business owners, but you are providing such value to your clients. And it's important for you to see it that way too, right? It's not just a report. It's not just a spreadsheet. Like, you are giving them not only advice on their business, but really on their life. I think that's really important. It's a big job.
It is a big job.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. If someone wants to become a Relay partner, we will link those resources in the show notes. And let us know if you enjoyed this episode, and take a screenshot, tag us on Instagram. We will link also the Instagram social handles and everything. If someone wants to connect with you personally, do you have any way that someone can do that?
Yeah, 100%. Anybody can shoot me an email. My email is Deanna@relayfi, so relayfi.com, and feel free to put that in the show notes too, Serena. Yeah,
Awesome.
Send the questions over. I'm always available.
Great. I appreciate your time so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you to everyone who helps make this podcast possible. Content and interviews are produced by me, Serena Shu. Our intro and outro music is written and performed by my brother, Ian Gilliam. Editing is also by Ian, using his awesome sound engineering skills along with Descript software. Hosting and publishing is by Buzzsprout, and you can check out the show notes for links to all of these amazing resources and resources mentioned in the episode.
Be ambitious.